City of Hungers by Moses Pax. Chapter 2 Elliot. If she could only get to work with dry feet, maybe she could have a good day. Elliot Rivera is a 26-year-old, fairly complicated, and thus statistically normal, from a conflicted and complex family of origin impacted by multiple domineering caregiving relationships, more than one passionate romance, holding idealistic aspirations of addressing systemic oppression for the benefit of all humankind, athletic but not model-esque, tall but not too tall, obsessively healthy, preferring only ethically sourced organic foods, weak at the knees for the legendary half season The Firefly, bilingual, spiritual but not religious, occasional marijuana using, funny, melancholy, secretly seething, openly very gentle human. She hates the rain. Also, capitalism, systemic racism, and creatures who prey on vulnerable humans. Oh, and her mother. But she really hates the rain. Her friends are quick to say, she's cool. She self identifies as contained turbulence. She doesn't say much about herself, except in therapy, citing singular and peculiar factors that would damage both credibility and relatability. When her therapist invites her to share more, she says, I decline. Sometimes her therapist teases her about covering her feelings with big technical speech. It's couched as humor, but as a social worker trained with the same general set of conversational listening and attunement skills, Elliot can spot a therapeutic intervention no matter how subtle. She doesn't mind. After all, that's what she's paying a day's wages out of pocket to hear, and that's all the better for how her therapist is gentle and funny and waits for the right moment when Elliot has all but come to the same conclusion herself before speaking. Elliot wishes she could do therapy like that. Maybe someday she can be that good, then be a rich and famous therapist and be able to afford proper rain boots. Today is a rainy, pre spring day in Portland in northwestern Oregon. Water has been leaking from the sky nonstop for weeks. Every tree is water laden, every lawn a bog. The city drains runneth over. Thousands of rain boots drip muddy grime on kitchen floors, and people with long hair haven't felt fully dry in a month. The sky is a dreary gray. No wind, but the temperature hovers near a humid 40 degrees. Is it warm enough to wear shorts and Crocs, or still cold enough to wear woolen underwear? No one rightly knows. On a day like this, any sane person would stay inside, shrouded in blankets and sweaters and cradling cocoa in a book. So, of course, instead, Elliot mounts her bicycle with a weary in the bones groan. Raincoat, rain pants, helmet, gloves, and ski goggles, but regular street shoes, because that is all she could find at the clothing exchange. She grimaces, knowing she will manage to be mostly dry and fairly warm when she gets to work, but will herald her arrival with a merciless squish, squish. Unless she's in a pool, she hates getting wet. Maybe if she avoids the puddles, she can get to work and only her feet will be damp. If she hurries, she'll arrive before her hands start to throb and burn from being so cold. Her neighbor Phil, a middle aged man with wavy hair, a droopy mustache, and wearing garish Hawaiian shirts year round, leaves his house at the same time as her, only he is in a Subaru with a steaming cup of coffee in one hand. He rolls down the window, offers a baffled grin, and asks, Bit wet today? Elliot clenches her bike handles and manages to force a smile at the dickwad. Really? Thanks for letting me know. Phil looks upwards and back at her. You want to ride somewhere? She balks, feeling more alarmed at the idea of sharing an enclosed space with him than the prospect of getting soaked. Also confused because he is being nice when he rarely acknowledges her at all. She quickly shakes her head. I'll be okay. He frowns up at the clouds. You are one brave lady being out in this weather. She rolls her eyes. Everyone is brave until the rent is due, then they're just wet. Huh? She shakes her head. Never mind. Fucking bourgeois. He tilts his head to one side, opens his mouth to try to make a response, then closes it again. He pulls his head all the way in the window, closes it, and slides his Subaru the rest of the way into the street. She breathes easier once he is gone. Now she is free to hate the rain in private. Elliot aspires to a balanced life. Her ideal day would be to wake up early, just after dawn in the short summer, and well before light in the long winter, have a snuggle with her girlfriend who hasn't just cheated, kiss her on the cheek, or the mouth, or other places too, then share a French press in bed before scrambling to dress and prep for the day. She would bicycle to work in the summer, or take the train or bus in the winter, or earn bragging rights at work for coming in completely encased in rain gear, all of it dripping, after having cycled to work in a chilly monsoon. She would perform effective and meaningful work, providing services for oppressed peoples, helping them move forward toward greater liberation and empowerment, one emotionally intelligent conversation and well resourced life decision at a time. She would interrupt racist, homophobic, transphobic, misogynistic, classist, ableist bullshit at work, and gradually the atmosphere would become inclusive and safe. At the end of the day, she would make her way to the gym, or the bouldering gym, or the yoga studio, or sometimes a sauna, and take care of her body. She would do it for the health and the in the moment feeling of clear, alert, and energetic, and not be at all obsessive about body shape or worried about long term, expensive to treat health conditions. Most days, her partner would join her. Then they would have dinner, going out someplace mom and pop, or cooking together in their home, their communion unbroken by her partner keeping secrets and telling lies, having lively conversations about philosophy and justice and politics and dreaming of a better world. She would smoke a joint or have a drink sometimes, but never both at once and never in excess. Then she and her partner, who she still trusts to not be a damn hoe, would make sweet love together under the organic bamboo sheets and fall asleep, soothed by each other's body warmth. "Hey, get the fuck off the road!" is the loose translation of the truck horn blaring up behind her on the busy main road. The F-350 with extra lift guns it as it passes her, not shifting over in the slightest in the lane to give her space. She has to swerve onto the sidewalk to avoid being smashed. As she does, her bike tires catch a slick spot and skid. Her bicycle wobbles. Her legs shoot out to flail for balance. She is sure she is about to die. Impossibly, she avoids a crash with only one kick off the pavement. Then she is on her shaky way. She allows herself one relieved laugh. Ha! Then proceeds to fume at the brazenness of drivers these days. There's a vibrating from her inner coat pocket. She pats her phone reflexively. The urge takes her to be a responsible and proactive employee of her agency and answer the call, because of this hour, there is only one person who should be calling her. But she stops her hand and looks ahead to the bus stop 3 blocks ahead. Soon a bus will arrive with a warm, dry, and relatively clean seat. Its hulking frame will be an opportunity to relax on her way to work and maybe even read a page of her novel. She so wants to be dry when she gets to work. The phone continues to buzz and she continues to pedal. Much as she craves the quiet, Elliot's actual life is really quite loud. Most days during the summer, when the natural light offers energy, she's able to pull herself out of bed on time, but mostly because she wakes up alone. Her partner moved out 4 months ago. She makes coffee in the Keurig, which was a gift from her aunt, using Costco coffee pods, also a gift from her aunt. All because her cat knocked her French press off the counter one morning as Elliot was preparing for work. The cat had the remarkable precision to not only spread hot coffee in glass shards around the kitchen, but to also splash coffee on Elliot's white button up shirt, which happened to also be on a day when Elliot was running late for work because she overslept, which she attributed to drinking too much the night before. Her damn phone is buzzing again. So soon, it must be something important. This time, her conscience wins the internal argument, much to her displeasure. Elliot pulls over onto the sidewalk and takes refuge under a tree. Just ahead is her bus stop, her dry seat, her moment of reading. With a sigh, she whips off her gloves and rustles her phone out of her pocket. Caller ID says it is indeed her work supervisor. She manages to answer before he is sent to voicemail. "Morning, Mike." Her voice is curt. She has to shout to hear herself over the street noises. "Elliot," Mike sounds genuinely excited. "Catch you at a good time." "I'm standing under a tree in the rain." "Oh, well, super. Listen, we got an alert from Project Respond about a client. You know JDB 417894?" She sighs again and hangs her head, a heavy tiredness descending over her shoulders and arms. To Mike, she says, "You really think I keep client numbers hidden in my head?" He laughs. "True, most people don't, but your attention to detail is uncanny and legendary. You know the guy?" She pinches her forehead between two fingers and concedes, "Yeah, Jake Dubois, right?" "Right. He was last seen by his psychiatrist last week and missed a check in with his case manager yesterday. He's caught a tent somewhere along the Springwater Corridor Trail. You passed by there on your way in, yeah?" Cold settles into her chest, all the more cold now that she knows she will not escape it. "Yes, Mike, I can do a wellness check." His voice blazes with delight. Oh, dude, you read my mind. It's not hard when this happens twice a week. Oh, you're the best. I'll clock you in starting now. Stay warm out there. Yeah, get soaked over there. There's a brief pause then. What? Oh, haha, I see what you did there. Great. Well, I'll see you soon. Yeah, thanks, Mike. As she stuffs her phone back in her coat, she thinks that a truly balancing measure would be to pour water over his head whenever she gets to work. She entertains the fantasy for a cold second. Elliot squeezes her lips in a line and turns up to the sky as the leak turns into a downpour. She turns up the road and sees a bus approaching, what could have been her bus, with a nice, warm, solid, reasonably clean seat, the rocking of the bus lulling her to relax, close her eyes. She could have lied, told Mike she was already in the bus, and had long ago passed the street she would take to the tent of Jake Dubois, or she could have ignored his call altogether. But lying is not her way. Shirking responsibilities is absolutely not her way. She lets the bus pass her by, then pivots her bike to head down a different road and back into the rain. Days like today, she hates having a conscience. She almost wishes she were a bit more like her mother. Almost. But as her legs burn from the strain of pedaling and her toes go numb from the cold, wet, and the roaring, wishing sounds of traffic flying down a wet street drown out every other sound, her grimace turns to a grin. Fuck yeah, she's cold and stiff, out alone and vulnerable on a bicycle on a busy street. She's a woman of principle. This is her choosing her own values, her own way. It's a bread truck that does it. The big, boxy vehicle trundles through standing water at the very same moment as Elliot swerves to avoid it. There is a magnificent splash, a cascade, really, and when it settles, Elliot resembles her cat in the bathtub far more than she would care to admit. A dozen epithets come to mind, each more salty to the last, but she is also shivering now, and all she can utter is a strangled and flustered, You! Bah! The thing she most hates about the rain and cold is she has zero control over any factors. The water is so cold she has to stop and gasp for breath. When she collects herself, she grumbles to the open air, Jake, if you're dead in your tent, I'm gonna kill you. Elliot works at a mental health clinic. On paper, it is meaningful. In actuality, she spends 40% of her day doing paperwork, 20% of her day on the phone with agencies and other services, 30% of her time with clients who are in too much crisis to do deep reflective work, about 10% of her time in administrative meetings, 2% of the time sneaking away to an unused office to lie on the floor in the dark and breathe away the stress, and about 5% of the time having conversations with clients about justice and empowerment. And sometimes she has to do things like pee or eat. Those items are not included in the time tally. Once, about 3 years ago, upon hearing this description of her life during an obligatory holiday phone call, her mother had noted, That's more than 100% of the time. To which Elliot responded, That is correct. And to which her mother had responded, That doesn't seem healthy. You sure you're meant for this kind of life? Well, Mum, it's the life I have, so I don't know what you mean. Thank you for listening to this segment of City of Hungers. I'm delighted to share it with you, and I am looking forward to sharing more. We'll talk to you soon.